green control. So at the Pro Tour, we saw John Finkel and his team, the Pantheon, they played kind of a black-green Seasons Pass deck. Ben has removed Seasons Pass from the main deck. It's actually in his sideboard along with the Dark Petition package, so he's doing that in the sideboard here this weekend. In the main deck, he's more focused on stuff like Woodland Bellower and getting some value that way. However, his opponent here playing Mono Red Eldrazi, I think, taking a look at the deck list, we felt this actually be a pretty tough matchup for Ben.
Yeah, a lot of Ben's cards just don't line up great with what the Mono Red Eldrazi deck is doing. So his Grasp of Darkness, his Ultimate Prices, his Languishes, they're not great cards when he's running into a bunch of high toughness creatures and colorless creatures. So Reality Smasher, Vile Aggregate, these cards can be big problems.
Lomangino is going to take 2 there from the Sylvan Advocate. We'll see if Stark has a 3rd land to play or not. You saw him start for the Hissing Quagmire in the Forest. There's an Evolving Wilds, and he'll just simply pass the turn. Over to Lomangino, we're going to go.
And you had mentioned John Finkel's black-green deck, the very controlling deck that he played at the Pro Tour. There's been an evolution in that deck where people have kind of figured out it's better to have some creatures on the board, be a little more proactive, especially when there's so many planeswalkers running around. You need to be able to go after them. You don't want to have to be trying to have the perfect answer every single turn to deal with those types of things.
Yeah, you would see a lot more Sylvan Advocates, Tireless Trackers, some more stuff like that. See a Vile Aggregate here from Lomangino. Saw this actually win a Modern Pro Tour in the hands of Jason Tao. Vile Aggregate, star 5. Got a lot of text. Actually kind of a hard card to read, but it's devoid. Power is equal to the number of colorless creatures that you control, so right now it's a 1/5 as it does count itself. It's got Trample. It's also got Ingest. But more importantly, doesn't die to Languish, doesn't die to Grasp of Darkness as well.
Yep. Ultimate Price does not get it.
So this can be a bit of a problem for the old Sylvan Advocate. Even if Sylvan Advocate gets 6 lands, just a 4/5 can't get through the old Aggregate.
Stonewalls him.
So to Stark for his 4th turn, you saw him sacrifice his Evolving Wilds for a Swamp on the end of Lomangino's last turn. We'll see if Ben can figure out a way to get through this thing. There's a block very quickly. It'll be an Oath of Nissa post-combat. Ben will take a look at the top 3. We'll see if he finds something he likes. There's at least a Hissing Quagmire in there, and he's going to go with a Llanowar Waste. That might be his land for the turn. And it is.
You got to like the attack. Nothing to lose. Why wouldn't you?
That's a freebie.
Yeah. Feel the opponent out a little bit.
You got to check him. Lomangino will take his 4th turn, draws a card. And you see the Vile Aggregate out there doing a nice job of kind of slowing things down. Shivan Reef in hand. You're going to find a lot of colorless lands in this deck because you got to be able to cast Reality Smasher, Thought-Knot Seer, stuff like that. Even though the Thought-Knot Seers are in his sideboard this weekend, I have to imagine he'll be coming in for this kind of controlling matchup. A Mountain here for Lomangino, and now a Thopter Engineer, which will bring a 1/1 Thopter along with it.
Grows the Vile Aggregate.
Yep.
2 threats on the board. These types of cards are just tough for the black-green control deck to deal with.
Engineer is going to bite the dust thanks to an Ultimate Price, and that'll be before combat so that the Thopter can attack, so smart play there by Ben. And you think about it, you take a look at what Lomangino is playing, not a lot of targets for Ultimate Price.
Yeah.
Now, Ben doesn't actually know that, but the targets here, Thopter Engineer, which is not ideal. You've got Gold Knight Castigator, which Lomangino is playing 4 of. And then you've also got P and Kiran Nalaar, but that actually just leaves behind some Knuckleheads. So here comes Vile Aggregate into the red zone.
This is fairly interesting.
Fred's checking Ben out now. And Ben is going to take the damage.
I like this. He just punked him for 2.
I actually quite enjoy it as well. Tireless Tracker is the card that got ingested as we head back Stark's way. Stark looks like he has a Tracker to start off with. So he'll play a Tracker. Now he'll play Llanowar Waste. That'll bring a Clue along. A Clue.
Oh, don't start with this.
A Clue here.
This is too early for this.
A Clue. That's Max McVitie on that Clue. That's our Season 1 Invitational Champion in Columbus. Now, Craig, you might remember that well. I know you weren't in the booth so much for that tournament. But Max McVitie, I think you can attest to, one heck of a Magic player.
We need to talk a lot about this at some point.
But we're talking about it right now, actually.
Oh, well, okay.
We're talking about it right now.
Look, we can transition to a bunch of different things here. I've been taking advantage of some of the weekly sales in Star City.
Okay.
And every time I do, they insert one of these Max McVitie tokens into my order.
We know that you need clues.
I almost stopped ordering things.
We know that you need clues. That's all that is.
I'm like, man, I really want these singles, but every time this Max McVitie token shows up, it's just so painful.
It's about building the Max McVitie brand. Now, you only get one of those tokens if you spend more than $5. Maybe you should lower your order.
Sure.
And you wouldn't have to see them.
I could ask them to chop some of the singles into 3 pieces.
Exactly. That would be perfect.
Like, I'll just order them in piecemeal.
Here's a hangerback walker from Fred. The Vile Aggregate's now a 3-power creature, and the 1/1 Flying Thopter are going to come into the red zone. We might see maybe a little double block action or something here from Ben. Again, remember, the tracker can grow right away because he can sacrifice that glue, so it can be a 4/3 if you'd like it to be.
Well, and if Ben is aware of how explosive this mono red Eldrazi deck can get, he'll be much more interested in making these trades as opposed to trying to get more card advantage later in the game.
It's weird. A lot of Ben's cards, a lot of the cards that he can draw just aren't particularly good.
Yeah.
A lot of his removal is bad. We saw Ultimate Price not be very effective. He's playing 3 of those. Grasp of Darkness. Grasp of Darkness. He's got 4 of those, 2 Languishes as well. Just some mediocre removal. You're going to see a double block here because I actually think this aggregate and its 5 toughness causing a lot of problems.
Yes. Well, and just taking this damage when, Ben doesn't know exactly what's in his opponent's deck, but I'm sure he's aware that Chandra Flamecaller and Reality Smasher are
probably looming.
High on the list of cards that are probably going to be there. He might not be expecting the Golden Knight Castigator, but with a list of cards like that can just be so explosive and deal so much damage, it's in your best interest to make the trades when you can.
Now, Lomangino is going to, assign blockers, see where it's going to put the damage. And there goes Sylvan Advocate. Sylvan Advocate. Vile Aggregate. That's tough. I've been in the booth for a little bit.
But this is why you make the big bucks.
That's true. Both those creatures are dead, thank goodness. That's not going to be a problem anymore.
2 different words, and you can pronounce them both.
Whew, thank goodness. Ben's going to sacrifice that clue token. He'll draw a card. Tracker's going to get a little bit bigger. And now we're going to be heading Stark's way. So we'll untap and take a draw here on his 6th turn of the game. Picked up a Swamp. No more Sylvan Advocate for Ben, so this 6th land isn't that big of a deal. It's not a 4/5 anymore, but he does get a clue.
Oh, that clue.
Yeah, I know.
All day, this is going to be.
Now, would you have been a clue token if you won?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. See, if you weren't going to be a clue, I don't think it would hurt as much, but you were definitely going to be a clue.
And it would have been ridiculous.
You would have got a lot of play time here on the feature match area. A lot of Tireless Tracker, very popular in Standard. A lot of clues being made across multiple formats. Instead,
who wouldn't have wanted to see me in a cheesy tweed jacket, smoking a bubble pipe with an oversized magnifying glass?
I would have loved it.
Yeah.
And, the thing is, we can still have that happen. You go to that Season 2 Invitational New Jersey, bang.
Just clue it up again?
Right. Oh, yeah. Because you can overtake his clue. That's what you can do. Here's a Woodland Bellower. Lomangino's going to read that one. This is actually part of the reason Ben is playing this deck this weekend. We actually got to talk to Ben some last night. He said, I'm playing black-green. I asked him if he was playing the Seasons Pass package. He said, no, I prefer to actually have my win conditions do something. So Woodland Bellower is a card that he's playing multiple copies of. It's going to search up a Sylvan Advocate. And realistically, that's 6 mana to bring 10 power on the board.
It's huge. It's a big boy. It brings the Advocate, which is a big boy. The Advocate's now boosting his Hissing Quagmires. It's all working. And if he's in a spot where he's just kind of flooded or he can't pressure the opponent, he can go get the Tireless Tracker and just generate card advantage that way. So the Woodland Bellower, high-quality card.
The one thing it can't search up is Nissa Vastwood Seer, but that's okay because it still has plenty of good targets, as you mentioned, in Tireless Tracker and Sylvan Advocate.
Yeah, and one of the things that we've seen is that there's just so many good cards in Standard right now that a card like Woodland Bellower, maybe it's good enough to be played, maybe it's not. It's hard to explore all of the space in Standard because WotC has given us so many good cards to work with.
There are a lot of options, that's for sure. Here's a Hedron Crawler. Lomangino's just going to pass the turn back. Not a very explosive turn there for Fred at all as we head back Benjamin Stark's way.
Yeah, and you really have to start liking the board from Ben's side. Fred he's lost his one big creature. He's not putting any pressure on the opponent. He's sitting with kind of a lonely hangerback walker over there that's not doing a whole lot.
See Stark starting to calculate some things here, see how he can start to break through. One thing about Standard as well, you kind of get in these creature battles.
Yep.
I find, black-green looks to gum things up. Basically green-based decks, they like to gum up the ground.
Sure.
Tireless Tracker, Sylvan Advocates. In Ben's case, he's got Woodland Bellower, the Gitrog Monster. He's got a lot of ways to kind of make things a little bit messy on the ground.
Yeah, back in our day, way back,
way back.
People would show up with decks with 30 counterspells in them and 3 creatures.
Yes.
And 27 lands. And
3 creatures are blinding angels.
Yeah.
Which don't let the opponent attack.
Or Morphling or whatever.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
No, things have changed.
A little bit different of a game.
Things have changed a little bit.
Yeah.
So Star kind of analyzes this board. One of the cards that we have seen a lot of, and doesn't really surprise me too much, is Tireless Tracker. It's a pretty good Magic card.
Yes. Well, and Sylvan Advocate, these two guys, they're just buddies that go hand in hand.
They're kind of the green's 1-2 punch right now. You'll find Nissas, you'll find Woodland Bellower, some other things, depending on what colors people are playing. But Tracker, Advocate, they're good early, they're good late.
Exactly.
And now you're finding dead weight here, actually. Ben making an interesting play, making Lomangino make a decision. If Fred wants to keep his Hangerback Walker, he can. He has to activate his Hangerback Walker, though, and give it a +1/+1 counter, which means it can't block. Or he can just let it go. He gets 2 Thopters, but I don't think Ben is too scared of 2 Thopters right now.
No, yeah. So a triple block with the Thopters would not be enough to take down any of Ben's creatures. And I think it's important for Fred to get a lot of Thopters out of this Hangerback Walker if he can. Unfortunately, he's already at 12. We were talking last turn about how Ben put all this power on the board. He's generating card advantage through the clues. And Fred's getting further and further behind.
Yeah, and I don't know just how good of draws Fred has in this situation. Chandra is one card that could certainly help turn things around, but Chandra's, ability to kind of wrath a board, it can deal a max of 4.
Yeah.
So that's also an issue here.
Yeah, what he needs to do is hope that Ben makes some blocks at some point, gets some damage on those opposing creatures, and then sweeps up the board with Chandra.
Hissing Quagmire goes active, and everything's coming to the red zone. So you got Tireless Tracker as a 4/3, Sylvan Advocate as a 4/5, Woodland Bellower as a 6/5, and the Hissing Quagmire is actually a 4/4 because of the Sylvan Advocate. So Lomangino's going to do a little blocking here with this Thopter. And that's really about it, as he's going to untap, take a healthy amount of damage. Now he does have that Hangerback Walker, and it does have 3 counters on it, but he's at 1. And you see the Chandra in hand.
Yeah, and Ben, he's got such a good feel for the game. He knows that his opponent's kind of stumbling here. He's on his back foot, and he's just going to put all the pressure on him.
He's sensing a little bit of weakness as there's a Westvale Abbey. And Lomangino will simply pass the turn back over to Stark, who's going to quickly untap. He'll be taking a draw. It's a very comfortable position here for the Hall of Famer. And even though I do think this matchup is still going to be tough, we're obviously going to play at least one more game, potentially 2. Things have lined up pretty well for him. He hasn't drawn a lot of the removal. I don't think Lomangino has drawn some of his more heavy impact cards in this particular game.
Yeah, we saw Lomangino get onto the board very slow, even when he got the Vile Aggregate out, he wasn't able to back it up with any significant threats. And now he's just kind of petering around, chump blocking some, and it really looks like Ben's deck is good against this. But I'm skeptical if over a course of a match or several matches that Ben's deck would actually be favored.
Well, he's in the driver's seat right now as he is going to come into the red zone. Lomangino is tapping a bunch of mana here. I'm curious what this is for. Okay, he's going to activate the Foundry of the Councils, so a couple Thopters on the way. So he's got some blockers here. But more than anything, this feels like staving off elimination for one more turn.
Yeah, these creatures aren't trading with anything that Ben is doing, so he's not making a whole lot of progress.
You'll see some blocks here. It looks like Hedron Crawler's feeling a little frisky. That one's going to block too. It'll go active, add a little bit of mana to activate the Hangerback Walker. And now Hangerback Walker's going to bite the dust. So some Thopters are going to be on the way here. There'll be 4 total, because Hangerback Walker had 4 counters on it.
We've got a healthy mix of Thopter artwork here.
Yep. And I'll see what Ben's follow-up is. It looks like Ben does have a copy of Nissa Vastwood Seer. Hasn't played his 7th land yet, so we could see that transform. Let's start kind of thinking things through. Just one of the things that you'll see the best players do is it's going to take some time just to think about things.
Yeah, I mean, the game's well in hand, so just make sure you don't make any big mistakes at this point. You still want a game plan moving forward. You just got to think about what's the best thing my opponent can do next turn, And if he has that best possible thing, how am I going to win the game then?
Here's Ob Nixilis. So the Planeswalker is going to go down to take care of a Thopter and simply pass the turn back. And now if Lomangino wants to actually get that off the battlefield, he's got to commit threats going that way. But I actually like Ben's play there of actually killing a Thopter because there were 5 creatures on the battlefield for Westville Abbey.
Yep.
So pretty smart play. Don't want to give Lomangino that option.
Well, like I said, playing slow, you're not going to miss something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if Ormenthal just flips, maybe that's enough to put Fred back in this game.
Yeah, one of the things about the black-green deck is it's very soft to Ormenthal. It doesn't have a clean answer. You know, you'll see like white-black control with Anguish and Making. You'll see a lot of white-based decks have no problem with that.
Sure.
But for black-green, not a lot of great answers. You know, Grasp of Darkness, 2 of them, or 2 Languishes, or a Grasp plus a Languish. Not pretty.
Yeah, real difficult.
Not pretty at all. However, Ben Stark currently up a game here over Fred Lomangino. Black-green control up a game over Mono Red Eldrazi. So we will start with Lomangino and his sideboard options of 3 Thought-Knot Seers, 2 Scab Clan Berserkers, 2 Eldrazi Obligators, 4 Rending Volley, 2 Roast, and 2 Kozilek's Returns, Craig.
Yeah, I would think that the Thought-Knot Seers are going to be really solid against the black-green control strategy. Ben had a good start there where he came out with some early creatures, but if he's ever behind, the Thought-Knot Seer can just be devastating.
On the other side of things here for Ben Stark, you see another Languish and Ultimate Price. A Seasons Past, 2 Virulent Plays, 2 Dark Petition, 2 Infinite Obliteration, 2 Kalidas, Trader of Get, 2 Duress, and then 2 Transgress the Mind. Interesting situation here, I think, because Ben didn't see a lot.
He did not see a whole lot, but I'm sure he's aware that against this mono red Eldrazi deck, a lot of his removal is not great. So he might shave a lot of copies of cards like Ultimate Price and you know, Grasp of Darkness, and it'll make room for potentially Virulent Plague.
Okay.
Maybe Kalidas. All these cards are going to stop Hangerback Walker from doing its thing, and the Dresses and Transgress the Minds are going to be very helpful.
Yeah, this is a unique situation where Ben's obviously a smart guy, well-informed. We have the deck list in front of us. So if we handed Ben the deck list, he'd be able to figure out how to sideboard pretty easily.
Yes.
And we get to say, okay, Languish, Grasp, Ultimate Price, not very good in this matchup. Those are the first cards. Those are the first cards we'd board out. I'm curious to see if Ben actually leaves some of that stuff in or not for this second game, because he just did not see the fact that those cards are not particularly good against Lomangino's deck.
Yeah.
So it'll be curious to watch as these players do sideboard. And while they do finish sideboarding up, Fred Lomangino will be on the play for game number 2. We're going to talk about the StarCityGames.com weekly sale that is taking place. One of your favorites here, up to 50% off select promotional cards.
Dude, I took advantage of this.
And you got a clue as well. So you took full advantage, is what you're saying.
I'm not sure how to respond to this.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. You see the Damnation, Scavenging Ooze, Faithless Looting, Batter Skull, and a whole bunch more. Now, every time we do one of the weekly sale promotions, you always bring up the wife.
Yep.
And how the fact that, you know, you want to come home to some brand new gifts. However, the wife is within the radius here. She came with you this weekend, so she's got no excuse now.
I mean, don't say that, because it sounds like she does have excuses the other weeks.
Oh, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Sorry.
It's a week-long sale.
Okay.
It's not like she's busy for a whole week where she can't just pick up something nice for someone she loves.
Well, she certainly can't act like she doesn't know this is going on right now.
Yeah.
She could probably hear the promotion. She's here this weekend in Orlando. So I expect Mrs. Crumples to be able to get you. Which one of those 4 do you want? You need a Scavenging Ooze? I know you like Obzon.
Dude, that full art Damnation is pretty sweet.
You want that one? Okay. Well, make sure that you walk out of Orlando, the Sunshine State, with a Damnation. StarCityGames.com weekly sale ends on Monday, 10:59. We'll have another sale for you guys at 11 a.m. Monday morning as we get ready here for game number 2 between Ben Stark and Fred Lomangino. He's going to finish shuffling up, so that, you know what that means, Craig? It means we have time for another ad.
Let's do this.
And I figure, what better time to talk about a clue token than right now?
Let's not do this.
I think that now, how do you pronounce that last name?
Why are you doing this to me?
Is it McVetti or McVeety? I think it's McVeety.
Everyone at home thinks that we're just joking around, but this is so painful for me.
Hey, you got to bounce back from stuff like this. It's going to be okay.
I'm trying to bounce back, but you just keep you keep opening the wound. You just peel the scab off.
It's just a picture of a clue token. I don't know why you're taking this so personal. It's a full art picture. Now, here's what we can do. We can make the picture a little smaller and tell you how to go about getting it.
One of my friends asked me after the Invitational what I wanted most. You know, they thought that I wanted the invite back to the Pro Tour the most.
Okay.
Which would be great to have. I would love to do that, but it's not the most important. I've been there. I've played in a bunch of Pro Tours. I've got a bunch of solid finishes there. I feel like I don't have anything left to prove.
Okay.
You know, obviously I would love to go to Pro Tour and do well, but
Of course.
back in our I'll keep talking like I'm an old man. Back in our heyday, they started taking pictures and they put player cards in packs with profiles. I had my picture taken, I had a bunch of interviews done, and then I was always just short of being one of the players who ended up in anything. And my friends gave me a hard time. I would go over to my friends' parents' places for things.
Okay.
And they'd be like, Craig, we haven't gotten one of your tokens yet to put on the fridge. And they'd have, the Gerard Fabiano token up there and the John Sani token up there. And, just when the parents start giving it to you, it's pretty rough.
It cuts a little deep.
And so I think getting my likeness on a card would be very fulfilling.
But it's not over. There's more invitationals to play, man.
That's true.
It's not over. That's also a really tough matchup for you in the finals.
I don't think it's impossible. Sometimes they just play out in a way that's not always favorable.
Yeah.
Which is the way it goes sometimes. And I'm not unhappy with how I played. I love the tournament. I had a great time. Star City puts on a pretty good event. I don't know if you've heard.
I think we tried to. We tried to. Second place invitational, nothing to be upset about.
Yeah, yeah. So a good weekend all around.
Just a little shy of what you were trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
That's all. Like New Jersey, man. You'll be happier if you do it on your home turf. Trust me.
Yeah.
I think that's the truth. Here's another Oath of Nissa here from Ben. Update you on what's going on here. Ben's taking a look at the top 3 cards. He's going to take a Nissa Vastwood's here with him. On Lomangino's side, he started off with a Hedron Crawler into a Vile Aggregate, but he did not have a third land to play. So a little bit of mana issues as Stark is going to play another Swamp and simply pass the turn back. So over to Fred, we're going to go. And it looks like he has drawn a third land. There's a Mountain.
And this is the start that Lomangino might need. If he has P and Kieran Nalaar here, and that Vile Aggregate gets real big, then Ben's just under a whole mess of pressure. The tokens are good against him. The big aggregate is good against him. He doesn't have any clean sweepers to deal with all of this. If he plays a creature, it's not going to match up well with all of this. Oof.
Yeah, Golden Knight Cascader's going to be pretty tough, too. If Ben doesn't have ultimate price because none of his other removal really kills it very well.
That's a big boy.
He does have 4 Ruinous Path in his deck, so don't want to forget about that. But that's a sorcery speed answer to a creature that has haste. So here's the Golden Knight Cascader. See if Ben actually does have a removal spell for this. Again, I'd be very surprised if he has ultimate price in his deck after sideboard. He's going to be taking 6 here. And now we're going to head Stark's way after he does ingest a Sylvan Advocate. This looks like a little bit more, I think, of what we were expecting in Game 1.
This is a kind of a big flip-flop from Game 1 where Lomangino has come out of the gates and Ben has just opened the game with, Oath of Nissa, nothing else going on. His removal doesn't really line up against any of these creatures. And now he's in a lot of trouble. It looks like he's got that languish in his hand.
I think he's got a languish in his hand, which is, ugh.
Yeah, just a little bit embarrassing when you're staring down a board like this.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you showed up with your language. It's awesome, but not so awesome.
That's part of the appeal, actually, of playing this mono-red Eldrazi deck, and Eldrazi decks in general. Languish is horrible against you.
Sure, yeah, if people show up looking to play sweepers against the green-white tokens deck, you are in a good spot to battle what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, Ben, oh boy, that's painful.
Yep.
That is not a best of SCG Life moment. a Languish taking care of a Hedron Crawler as we're going to head back over to Lomangino. Thopter Engineer.
And just keep the pressure on.
Yeah. Of course, that Thopter has haste. It's also going to go to the Vile Aggregate. And you said it, keep the pressure on. A quick untap here from Stark. He's already down to 7. We'll draw Swamp. Not sure he has a great way of stabilizing this battlefield.
No, yeah. He's going to think about it. I wouldn't be surprised to see him just pack up his cards.
You know what he wishes he had? He's going to play a Nissa and get a Forest. Textless Damnation.
That would do it.
That'd be helpful right now.
Although he'd probably get DQ'd from the event.
That's a different issue entirely.
Yeah.
Just saying if he had.
But he would look good doing it with that Textless Damnation.
That's right. So there's a Nissa. Forest in hand here for Ben. All I can do is pass the turn back. So we're going Lomangino's way. Well, there's a Spatial Contortion.
Yeah, that'll do her.
That's going to take care of that threat. And now here come the beatdowns. All the creatures. Couple more over. See if Ben has. We do want more, but find a balance.
And yeah, even if Ben has a removal spell here, He's in such a bad spot. He's going to keep fighting the good fight, so to speak.
Yeah, he'll grasp the Gold Knight Castigator, which doesn't kill it.
Yeah.
So that's the definition of fighting the good fight.
Yeah. In spots like this, I'm kind of in favor of just packing it up and not showing the opponent any more cards.
Sure. Ben picked up a copy of Virulent Plague, which is, I think, on the whole, it's a fine card in the matchup.
Oh, it's going to be very good in this matchup.
Okay.
Like we said, P and Kieran Alar, the Thopter Engineer, the Hangerback Walkers. So there are lots of things that it's going to help take care of.
Chandra tokens.
The Chandra, oh yeah.
Yeah, can't forget about that as well. Just not good then. That's for sure.
Understatement.
Not good right there.
Well, it was about on par with the language that he picked.
Fred Lomangino is going to win game number 2 here over Ben Stark. Mono Red Eldrazi, Black Green Control, getting ready here for game number 3. So now I'm going to just watch Ben. He's shuffling a little bit. And if he's going to go back to the drawing board or not, because I think he saw some things there that probably makes him change what he wants to do.
Well,
right?
yeah, we don't know if the ultimate prices came out or not. The deadweights probably came out because they just...
What are they?
Well, they can get an early Hangerback Walker or Hedron Crawler.
Are they dead weight?
But they're probably just dead weight.
Yeah.
Ba-doom.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just this day is going well.
I'm on it this morning.
Yeah.
Didn't even need coffee because coffee's disgusting. I'm ready to roll.
Sure, as long as we don't talk about any more clue tokens.
Okay, perfect.
Yo.
Perfect. It doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like Ben's going back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
I think I'm a little surprised by this.
Well, like I said, we're not sure if the ultimate prices came out or not, but it's funny. It's almost good for Fred that he showed that Gold Knight Castigator and that it was so good, because it pressures Ben into trying to have a removal spell for that card.
That's true.
And if he leaves in ultimate price or he brings in another one that he has in his sideboard, the card is so bad against the rest of Fred's deck.
It's not particularly good. It's good against exactly Gold Knight Castigator.
Yeah.
Pretty much nothing else. So does look like Stark's going back to the drawing board. Lomangino's going to shuffle up. We're going to very quickly talk about the feature match area, which you can join today. That's our Twitch subscription program. Exclusive subscribers only chat, custom emoticons and badges, and you get to decide the quarterfinals at the conclusion of round number 15. You vote what it's going to be. That's what we put on camera to start our elimination rounds. Twitch.tv/SCG Live. Only $4.99 a month to become a subscriber to the feature match area. Feel free to join today.
Dude, I love the voting. How was that not a thing sooner?
Voting is great.
Yeah.
And we've got some really smart people in the technology department of Star City Games, because I could never design that.
Oh, I don't know how they make it work.
Yeah.
I have no idea, but...
Someone brought the idea to the table. Really good idea. We found a way to execute it, and I think a lot of people have been enjoying it. So part of what you get for joining the feature match area. Ben Stark going to be on the play here for game number 3 with his black-green control deck against mono-red Eldrazi's.
And we'll see if Ben can have the start more similar to what he had in game 1. Comes out with a few creatures, and he's able to interact a lot more with what Fred is doing.
Yeah, the start last game was not particularly good. As you see, Stark is going to take a mulligan, as will Lomangino. So back to the drawing board for both of these players. Did not like their opening hands at all. You think mulligans favor or hurt anyone here?
I think it's tough to tell in this matchup. They both have a lot of lands in their deck. It might favor Ben a little more. He's got the Oath of Nissa to help smooth out his draws some. He's got Nissa Vastwood Seer to make up some of that card advantage. So Fred's deck doesn't have a whole lot of card advantage sources like that. But his deck is fairly redundant.
Power level's pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as long as he gets to 4 lands, 4 mana with Hedron Crawler, he's going to be able to do what he wants to do.
Sure. I think it's the 5-mana spell, though, that we haven't seen yet from Fred in Reality Smasher.
Sure.
I think that might be his best card in the matchup.
Yeah.
Maybe. But we haven't seen it just yet. Start kept very quickly, scry to the top. Lomangino's going to keep. We're underway here in game number 3. A swamp there from Ben. A mirror pool.
Rarely seen mirror pool.
Yeah. Ben's going to take a look. We can do the same. You do not see this card very much. It's a weird card. It's really powerful in late game situations. How often do those come up? Tough to say. As here's a Hangerback Walker for 1. But if it does get online, you're able to activate it. What it does is very powerful.
Yeah, now Fred has a creature that he could copy with that mirror pool.
Yes. Yeah, he sure does. For Stark, a second swamp. Land number 3 is a forest. And now a Ruinous Path to get Hangerback Walker out of here. A Thopter will be left behind. Over to Lomangino, we're going to go for his third turn. He'll draw cards, copy of Shivan Reef. There's a Foundry of the Councils. This is a Thopter Engineer. Beatdowns for 2.
Yeah, this is a rough start for Ben. Just having to kill the Hangerback Walker right away. And now he's facing down some evasive creatures in the air.
Here's no Nissa for Ben. Is he on the hunt for a land? Because there isn't Evolving Wilds there. He'll take that. The rest are going to go to the bottom of Stark's deck. Evolving Wilds will be the land for the turn. And he'll simply pass the turn back. Over to Lomangino. Lomangino going to draw.
And now he's clearly in the driver's seat. If he ends up with a card like Golden Knight Castigator or a Thought Knot Seer here, he's just really putting it to Ben.
An attack here for 3. Is there a follow-up? If you're Ben, you got to be thrilled. No follow-up.
Yes.
I mean, I guess I'm a little scared.
Yeah, you're still worried because at 5, he could have Reality Smasher. At 6, he could have Chandra Flamecaller. And, you know, the 2 points in the air are no joke. They just keep getting them. It's not like Ben's going to deploy a creature with reach.
That's true. You don't find those. Oath of Nissa, the draw. Looks like he's going to go there. So Trigger, take a look at the top couple. Looks like he's found a basic forest there. Again, if he's on the hunt for a land, he's found one. There's Llanowar Waste. Maybe the best of both worlds. And now it's Languish. Okay. So that'll clear away the Knuckleheads. And we're going to go back over to Lomangino. He'll draw. Looks like he picked up a copy of Golden Knight Castigator.
So close.
Yeah?
You know, last turn it would have been so backbreaking.
Still pretty good here, though.
Oh, still great here.
There's an attack for 4 in the air. Stark's going to fall down to 11. And Lomangino will pass the turn back.
Yeah, and Golden Knight Castigator is one of those cards where you have to be playing from ahead.
Ob Nixilis is going to take that down.
You don't want to be playing the defensive Golden Knight Castigator.
No, not at all. Ben, going to take another look at Mirror Pool. Not too much to worry about right now. It is powerful, but it is slow. For Lomangino, he's tapping the manas. He's got a Vile Aggregate and simply going to pass the turn back. So now maybe this is a spot where Ob Nixilis can maybe start to run away with things. He's going to go up to 3 right away. Stark's going to fall down to 10. He'll draw another card.
Yeah, at 10 life, Ben is in a fairly comfortable spot.
Now this is a big one.
Yeah, this is a big turn. I wasn't sure if he'd still have a bunch of Languishes in his deck or not. Obviously he does. And looks like he has just taken over the game.
Woodland Bellowers finds a Sylvan Advocate. Has a 6/5 and now a 4/5 on the battlefield. So Stark has stabilized the ground, I would say. Not scared of Reality Smasher now.
Nope.
You know, I think the card that he's most scared of is a Golden Knight Castigator. And we don't have a great look at his hand, but maybe he's got that threat already solved.
Well, yeah, and when Ben has 10 power on the board, the Golden Knight Castigator is...
Yeah, it's more of a liability then.
Yeah, it's dangerous to deploy
true,
that.
Actually. A lot of times I think of Golden Knight Castigator as just a 4/9 flying haste.
Yeah.
But it's got lines of text that matter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, quite a bit. If a source would deal damage to you, it deals double that damage to you instead. If it would deal damage to Golden Knight Castigator, it deals double that damage to Golden Knight Castigator as well.
That's just a bonus. Who doesn't like twice as much of something?
Yeah. Mirror Pool will copy Vile Aggregate. So now you got 2/5s out there. But that's not all that scary, I think, if you're Ben.
Not at all.
And if that's the best that Lomangino can do, now I'm feeling a little bit happier from Ben.
Yeah.
Because he had 6 mana.
Well, Woodland Bellower lines up well against it. Yeah, he's got a Ruinous Path and the Ob Nixilis. This is just tons of pressure.
Now a Nissa that's going to transform.
Yeah.
This game is taking a turn. It's a beautiful turn there for Stark. Land number 7 about to enter the battlefield, which means Nissa will transform. Of course, land number 7 is a hissing quagmire. Why wouldn't it be?
Sometimes you just have everything.
That's true. The Sage Animus is here. It looks like it's going to make a 4/4. It will. Here comes an attack for 10. And now Stark will pass the turn back.
And the writing's on the wall.
Yeah, this is a spot. It's weird, right? I think for both players, if one player gets ahead, the other player can't come back.
Yeah.
Because there's no sweeper that can get the job done. Languish couldn't catch Ben up last game, and this game Chandra can't catch Fred up.
Yep.
Because the toughness is just too much of a problem.
Well, and we see Fred, I believe he just peeled the Golden Knight Castigator off the top of his deck. if his first Castigator had come down a turn sooner, it would have dealt 4 more points to Ben. It would have lived through the languish that got played, and it's possible that Fred could have positioned himself to have just dealt 2 to 4 more points at some point, and then drawing the last Castigator would just finish the game off.
We head back over to Stark now. So he draws a card. Remember, he's got a Hissing Quagmire in there. He's going to start by activating Nissa. It goes up. Sylvan Advocate goes to the grip.
2 mana, 4/5 average.
Not a bad card. Not a bad card. Going to activate the Hissing Quagmire. Going to attack with all of his creatures, it appears. And Lomangino is going to activate Foundry of the Councils. And we saw this in the first game.
Yeah, the chump blocking doesn't make any progress.
Yeah, it was a desperation move. And it's a desperation move here yet again. He's got to block with both of them. He's going to take 8, fall down to 2. And now Stark will follow up. Looks like when there be that Sylvan Advocate he found off Vanessa, he will. There's an Evolving Wilds pass the turn back. Looks like it's going to be Lomangino's last draw of this particular round. Copy of Westvale Abbey, which is a very powerful card, but it doesn't do very much right now.
Yeah, a few too many lands for Fred this game. Like we said, he just missed on that turn 4 where it was pretty critical. He was in the driver's seat at that point, and Ben just had all the right answers. Yeah,
got off to a nice start, but could not cross the finish line. As Ben Stark is going to win this match here over Fred Lomangino. 2-1. Black-green control will take care of Mono Red Eldrazi. And for the Hall of Famer in his home state, he's off to a nice start, 1-0.